I think like most, college students, I did the wrong things. You know what I mean? I wanted to, you see the suit. Like I've been fly. I've been fly. So this isn't like a new thing, right? So like being in college and, wanting the new whatever the thing was, and at that time, you know, um, every bank, every credit card was available to you. So you sign up, and before you know it, you're in debt. You know what I mean? And for me, I think when I first started understanding the importance of credit, I was shamed into it, right? So I had a group of friends, and after college, everyone started looking at buying their first property, right? So when your friends are buying, even on the course to start buying their first property, and you're not, you know, the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing can be a positive thing, right? In school, it might have been, you know, getting the sneakers everyone else has, but then when you graduate from that and your friends are like serious about, okay, I need my first property. I didn't even understand how to even get there, right? So, a couple friends, bought their first place and started talking about credit, and made me realize that I wasn't even in a place where I could have a conversation with a bank about credit. And that immediately got me to a place where, I found one of those programs that, helped first time owners, get their stuff right. And, that began my journey where I was paying attention to my credit score and how I was spending, and, reducing credit card debt, and really just focusing on, putting a plan together. So that was definitely my first, you know, introduction to credit. And, now that I have, daughters, I have a 17-year-old who's getting ready for college. One of the biggest moments of our collective lives was taking her into a Chase and getting her first, checking account and savings account, and adding her as an authorized user to my Freedom account. So being able to live those, real life scenarios and understand that, like, all the things that it took me, you know, post college to learn, honestly, my daughter is going to be ahead of the game because she's already, established credit. She's already, has her own checking account and savings, and all of those different things. So I think that's the part of the, when we talk about foundation, right? Like, that's my goal, is to give them a foundation that I may not have had.
So Venus, it's interesting because you're on the corporate side, you're on the creative side. So talk about just the business of what you do as far as being a DJ, celebrity DJ, and traveling around the world and doing events. What's the business model behind that? Because I mean, people see that and they see like big name DJs, but how do you go about actually making sure that that's a sustainable business? Like keeping the bookings coming and negotiating contracts and, making sure that you get the money up front, the back end, and, working with corporate sponsors, making sure you have your deliverables done. Like what's the business behind that?
So it started out more in the traditional sense of throwing events and figuring out how to create enough demand and enough relevance that there would be an inevitable, um, I guess, sustainability to it. And I think that whether I knew that or not when I started, I guess I had the instincts to build something of my own. And that thing was, for me, I think people can talk about generic infrastructure, right? For the business of being a DJ. But I credit a lot of my success to the quality of my ideas and the quality of my community building and my network building. So it's not that I'm a networker, it's just that I like to create spaces where people feel comfortable connecting. And when people feel comfortable connecting, a lot of good things happen. So whether people are dancing, whether people are talking, whether people are like, getting their fits off, whatever it is, ultimately, it's like the DNA of what will ultimately be your life. So for me, the business model has a lot to do with making something at the core that people will always need me for, right? And that thing is being ahead of the trends, setting the trends, looking at what are the voids, And then I think that that's what most businesses are supposed to do. But when you're young and you're creative, you don't look at it from the perspective of a business person. You look at it from the perspective of need. We needed a space to congregate. We needed a way to promote our talents. And we needed people to take us seriously. We were very young. I started DJing at 22, and most of my friends were between 20 and 24 at the time, and they have now gone on to build some of the biggest businesses in the fashion business. They have gone on to have, great careers in music, as producers, as singers, as all kinds of artists. And so the only way you get an incubator like that is by being intentional about cultural curation and about what you do being forever needed. And I think that that is in and of itself the key to making a business that's sustainable, at least in my field. Because the fact is that there's a million DJs. Some of them might play better. Some of them might look better. Some of them might have more followers. But for whatever reason, I am still being called to help brands connect to the communities that I'm a part of, and also to show value as an influencer, as a person who has impact over what people think. And I think that ultimately that took me being brave enough that 17 years later, people would still be like, that was the coolest party in New York in the last 20 years. Or that's where I saw this happen for the first time. Or the way that everybody's doing that now, she was doing it then. So I think that as, hard as a concept as that is to grasp for most people, you have to be willing to do something that other people aren't doing, and you have to be willing to do it first. And you have to be willing to do it in a way that is collectively beneficial.